After a space merchant vessel receives an unknown transmission as a distress call, one of the crew is attacked by a mysterious life form and they soon realize that its life cycle has merely begun. This is from the 1979 movie Alien. Warning: spoilers and creepy content ahead. The opening credits appear in front of a large planet with rings. Out in the far reaches of deep space, the Nostromo. Inside, the ship appears eerily quiet, but suddenly, the onboard computer is activated. Lights inside the ship are activated, and a room with 7 biobeds is illuminated. The canopies open to awaken the crew. Executive Officer Kane is the first to awaken from hypersleep. They congregate in the mess hall, where they cheerfully enjoy a meal. Chief Engineer Parker and Engineering Technician Brett take the opportunity to discuss the bonus system, which they find unfair as they get paid less than the officers. Captain Dallas is called away by Mother, the ship's computer, before they can have a meaningful conversation. Dallas enters the Mother console room and tries to assess the situation, as the rest of the crew gets in the cockpit of the ship to determine their location. They quickly deduce that they are nowhere near home yet. Navigator Lambert finds out that they are at Zeta 2 Reticuli, an outlying system. When Parker and Brett return from their round of the lower deck, complaining about their colleagues' attitude in the bonus system, Dallas briefs the crew. The ship is not even halfway home, and has altered its course because it has picked up an unknown signal, which repeats every 12 seconds. The crew has been awoken from hypersleep to investigate. Parker protests, arguing that they're not a rescue team and that they should be compensated for the extra work, but Science Officer Ash stipulates that per company contract, the crew is obliged to investigate any signal from an intelligent source. The Nostromo approaches the planet, which is close to one enormous ringed planet and 2 smaller ones. The ship separates from the refinery, and sets course to the planet's surface. It descends toward the planet, but the landing is rough, causing damage that will take some time for Parker and Brett to repair, although they allot themselves several more hours than their own estimate. The planet is windy, and visibility is low. As the source of the signal is 2,000 meters away and the sun is coming up, Dallas and Kane decide to investigate on foot. In the meanwhile, Warrant Officer Ripley has gone to the lower deck to inspect the repairs. Outside, the team walks between the rocks, through the planetoid's inhabitable atmosphere. Inside the ship, Ash tells Ripley that Mother has not yet deciphered the signal. She volunteers to give it a try. Ripley accesses a console and starts working on the strange signal. Outside, the sun is up and the wind has died down. The team clears the rock formation, and makes a fascinating discovery. Near the horizon, they see a derelict spacecraft of unknown origin. It is lying against the rocks, vaguely shaped like a horseshoe. Despite Lambert's hesitation, they approach it, losing contact with the Nostromo upon entering the massive ship through an opening at the side. Inside, they find hallways with walls textured like bones. At the end is an elevated platform. It carries the remains of an enormous alien creature in a large chair, now fossilized. Upon initial examination, there is evidence of some unknown trauma to its chest. Its ribs are bent outward, as if it exploded from the inside. Lambert wants to leave. Kane then draws the others' attention to a large hole in the floor. Meanwhile, analysis of the unidentified transmission suggests that it is not an SOS, but a warning. Ripley wants to go after the search party, but Ash talks her out of it, reasoning that by the time she gets there, the search team will probably know what the signal means. Kane is lowered into the hole by means of a winch. He finds an enormous tube-like chamber down below, divided into sections and basins. He nears one basin, discovering thousands of leathery objects that resemble large eggs. He also discovers a strange light and mist covering the eggs that reacts when broken. He trips and falls into the pit. Kane touches one of the eggs, which seems to give a shriek. He grabs a pistol. The egg has flaps on top which open, revealing its insides. As Kane moves into for a better look, the strange life form inside suddenly leaps out, attaching itself to Kane's helmet, melting his faceplate. Ash is looking towards the planet's surface, when he sees Dallas and Lambert carrying the unconscious Kane back to the Nostromo. They enter the airlock and ask Ripley to let them in, while Ash waits at the inner airlock door to open it. They inform Ripley that an organism has attached itself to Kane's face. Ripley hesitates, citing quarantine protocol. For the safety of the crew, Kane should first be decontaminated for 24 hours before being brought on board. Dallas fears for Kane's life and orders her to open the door, but she refuses, despite Dallas trying to pull rank. However, Ash disregards Ripley's decision and lets them in. In the infirmary, Dallas and Ash cut Kane's helmet open. They find that a spider-like creature has attached itself to Kane's face, with 8 finger-like legs, and a long tail tightly wrapped around his neck. Despite his mouth being blocked, Kane is breathing normally. Parker, Brett, and Lambert observe through a window. Ripley joins them and is angrily slapped by Lambert, furious for not allowing them to re-enter the ship. The men break the women apart. Dallas berates Ripley for disobeying a direct order. but Ripley furiously replies that she was just following the rules of quarantine protocol. Ash attempts to remove the creature from Kane's face with a pair of forceps, but it merely tightens its grip, and is holding on so tight that it will tear Kane's skin off with it. Kane is examined with a sophisticated medical scanner, which shows that the creature has inserted a tube into Kane's throat and is feeding him oxygen. Out of concern that the acidic fluid will breach the hull, the crew runs several floors downstairs, and find that the stuff's corrosive effect is neutralized after burning through several decks. Dallas says the substance resembles molecular acid, and Brett comments the creature must be using it for blood. "Wonderful defense mechanism, you don't dare kill it," growls Parker. Dallas orders everyone back to their posts, as Kane is left in his coma to be tended by Ash. Parker and Brett resume their repairs, commenting that they should never have landed on the planet. As Kane's situation remains unchanged, Ash is collecting data on the creature. He is startled by the sudden presence of Ripley in the infirmary. She wants to know what he has found out yet. Ash can only confirm that the creature's skin is made up of polysaccharides, which it is slowly replacing with silicon to toughen its hide against the new environment it finds itself within. Kane has awoken, still groggy but seemingly unharmed. He remembers very little of the event, apart from a nightmare about smothering, but is starved and wants to eat. The crew decides to have one last meal before they re-enter hypersleep. During the meal, the crew is finally having a good time again, joking and enjoying the food. Kane is eating like he has not had food in ages, sharply observed by Ash. Suddenly, Kane begins to choke. After initially thinking he has swallowed something bad, the mood suddenly changes when Kane starts to groan and convulse violently. While he lies writhing and screaming on the table, the crew tries to help and stabilize him, but his chest suddenly bursts, and a small snake-like alien creature erupts through his ribcage. It silently observes its surroundings. Parker moves in to kill it with a knife, but he is stopped by Ash. The creature screeches, then scurries away quickly, leaving the crew stunned and horrified. After a short funeral for Kane, where his body is jettisoned into space, the crew members separate into two teams to capture the small creature. Brett assembles a weapon similar to a cattle prod, while Ash rigs together a tracking device. Parker, Brett and Ripley investigate one of the lower decks, finding that the power has been disrupted despite repairs having been finished. Picking up a signal, they think they have the creature cornered in a cabinet. They prepare to catch it in a net, only to be startled by the discovery that it is the crew's cat, Jones, who had found a quiet place inside the cupboard, and runs away. Realizing they might pick up the cat on the tracker again later, Parker sends Brett off to catch Jones. As Brett is searching for Jones, he finds a mysterious object resembling a shed reptile skin on the floor. He continues onto a hold housing one of the ship's landing struts, eventually catching up with Jones. A strange creature is hanging in the chains above him, seemingly observing him. As Brett tries to coax Jones out, the cat hisses when a huge shape drops down behind him. It is the creature, however now with 4 limbs, an elongated head, fully grown and towering over Brett. Brett turns around, and is mesmerized while looking at the creature opening its mouth, revealing a second set of teeth which quickly extends from the mouth, biting Brett in the head, and dragging him, bloodied and screaming, above into an air shaft. Ripley and Parker hear him and arrive just in time to catch a glimpse of the monster as Brett disappears and blood drips down. Parker and Ripley can only confirm the creature is big and escaped through the air ducts. Brett is assumed dead. The crew debates their next move. They all agree that the alien is using the air shafts to move around, so if they could drive it from the ducts into an airlock, they might be able to blow it out into space. Ripley asks Ash if he can offer some helpful information as a scientist. Ash suggests the alien may be afraid of fire, as most animals are. Fortunately, there are several flamethrowers on board. Ripley volunteers to enter the air shafts, but Dallas overrules her by volunteering himself. Dallas enters the mother console once more. He tries to get the mother computer to evaluate their procedure to get rid of the alien, but Mother simply cannot provide an answer, due to lack of input. He tries to get Mother to offer suggestions, but again, the computer cannot compute, due to lack of available data. Finally, Dallas types, "What are my chances?" The computer replies that it cannot compute. The main airlock is prepared by Ripley and Ash for the decompression procedure, while Parker and Lambert position themselves where they can measure movement inside the ducts. The main duct is opened and Dallas enters the network of air shafts with a flamethrower, allowing the crew to remote close valves behind him as he proceeds. Lambert uses a motion tracker to get his location, when she suddenly catches another signal going towards him. Assuming it is the alien, Dallas uses the flamethrower to make sure that one of the ducts leading down is safe. He ascends a ladder to the lower duct, but the alien signal is lost in the meanwhile. He finds a puddle of slime on the floor. Lambert assures him that the alien cannot be far, so he uses the flamethrower around him to scare it out of hiding. Nothing is there. Dallas is disoriented in the cramped space and starts to panic. When the other signal starts moving again, at higher speed to his location. Lambert desperately urges him to move away. He descends another ladder, turns around, running straight into the shrieking creature stretching its arms towards him. Static and feedback interrupt the line, and then there is only silence. Parker puts Dallas' flamethrower on the table, saying it was just laying in the duct. No blood, no Dallas. Lambert looks as if she is near a nervous breakdown, while Ripley is desperately trying to hide her apprehension. She suggests that in absence of a better idea, they should continue with Dallas' plan. Lambert says it is madness, and suggests abandoning the ship with the shuttle. Parker also opposes the idea, and wants to kill the creature, even if this means entering the entire duct system again, and blowing the alien out of the airlock. Ripley once again tries to get helpful information from Ash, but he says he is still analyzing. She scoffs at him for being so little help, and decides to go and try Mother for answers, since she now has access in light of Dallas' absence. Ripley accesses the Mother console, and queries Mother for answers as to why they are unable to neutralize the alien. Mother responds that she cannot clarify. Ripley asks Mother to explain why not. Mother replies that she cannot, referring to Special Order 937, which is only meant to be read by the science officer. Ripley uses a command override to force Mother to explain what Special Order 937 entails. Mother displays the following shocking text: Nostromo rerouted to new coordinates. Investigate lifeform. Gather specimen. Priority 1, ensure return of organism for analysis. All other considerations secondary. Crew expendable. As she contemplates the cold, hard words, she suddenly finds Ash sitting next to her, saying there is an explanation for this. Furiously, she grabs and shouts at him, sobbing uncontrollably. She leaves the console, trying to contact Parker and Lambert, but she finds that Ash is closing all doors leaving the mess hall, preventing her from leaving. She demands that he open the doors, but Ash simply stares at her. She notices a drop of white liquid running down his face, and he starts to have facial twitches. Unnerved, she tries to run away, but he suddenly grabs her hair. Ripley breaks free, pulling out a lock of hair, and tries to run. Ash quickly catches up and throws her against a few walls. While she is barely conscious, Ash uses a rolled-up magazine in order to suffocate her. She starts to struggle fiercely as Ash starts to twitch and make incoherent noises. Suddenly, Parker and Lambert arrive, both trying to drag Ash away from Ripley. Parker howls in pain as Ash grabs a piece of skin on his chest, forcing him to let go. Parker quickly grabs a fire extinguisher and hits Ash with it in the back. Ash starts to convulse and shriek violently, making very inhuman sounds while spitting out white liquid. Parker gives him another blow with the extinguisher, dislodging Ash's head, revealing Ash as an android. He keeps pounding Ash until he is on the floor, white liquid gushing from its insides. Ash's movements start to decrease and Parker settles down, but suddenly, the decapitated body grabs him and forces him onto a table. Lambert finally grabs the electric prod and screams as she stabs Ash in the back with it, finally rendering the android lifeless. With Ash disabled, Ripley theorizes that the company sent him along to bring an alien back for their weapons division, as Ash was always very protective of the creature. They reconnect his disembodied head to see if he can give them any advice on how to deal with the creature. Ash confirms that his order was to bring back the lifeform, even if it meant sacrificing the crew. Ripley asks how they can kill the creature. He tells them they have no chance against it, as it is the perfect organism. He has a silent admiration for it, a survivor, unclouded by conscience, remorse and delusions of morality. When he mocks their chances of survival, Ripley disconnects him again. The three survivors decide to follow Lambert's earlier suggestion, set the Nostromo to self-destruct and escape in the shuttle, leaving the alien to die on the main ship. As they leave the room, Parker turns the flamethrower on Ash's corpse, incinerating his remains. Ripley will prepare the shuttle for launch, while Parker and Lambert go to gather coolant for the shuttle's life support system. While prepping the shuttle, Ripley hears Jones meowing on the ship's open intercom system, and realizes the cat is still left behind. Lambert and Parker are in the hold gathering equipment. They proceed to a small room where the coolant is stored. Ripley ventures out alone, into the hallways of the Nostromo to find Jones the cat. Expecting the alien at every turn, Ripley finally locates the cat in the cockpit, where he startles her as he suddenly jumps into view. She puts him into his traveling container. In the meanwhile, Parker and Lambert are working so feverishly on the supplies, that neither of them pays attention to a large shadow that has appeared inside the room. It is the alien, and it closes in on Lambert. Ripley can hear Parker over the open intercom, shouting to Lambert to get out of the way, but the alien has cornered her against the wall. Parker is unable to get a clear shot at it with the flamethrower without risking harm to Lambert, as it is hulking over her. Finally, he charges at the creature, but it rapidly spins, whipping the flamethrower out of his hands with its long tail, and grabbing him with its large claws. Despite his struggle, the creature holds a tight grip, opens its mouth, and its bizarre inner jaws pierce Parker's head, instantly killing him. As Ripley rushes towards their position, she is powerless to prevent the creature from turning back to Lambert. It curls its tail around her, and the final thing that Ripley can hear from the intercom are the sounds of Lambert crying, sobbing, gagging and screaming. Ripley finds their bloodied and lifeless bodies in the storage room, with no sign of the alien. In terrible shock, Ripley dashes towards the emergency room without stopping. Between the sobs, she locates the ship's self-destruct mechanism and quickly completes the entire procedure to activate it. The voice of Mother now announces that the self-destruct mechanism has been activated, and the ship will detonate in 10 minutes. However, the self-destruct can still be cancelled during the first 5 minutes. Ripley takes a ladder to the lower deck, where she hears a soft groan. She inspects the hold, and finds a strange organic structure adhering to the walls and machinery. Shocked, she finds Dallas stuck within the adhesive, barely alive. On the opposite wall, she notices a shape which vaguely resembles Brett. He seems to be dissolving, transforming into an object like the egg seen in the derelict ship. Dallas very weakly begs Ripley to kill him. After some hesitation, she grants his dying request. She burns them both with the flamethrower and rushes out of the chamber. Ripley crawls up a ladder, and runs towards the shuttle with Jones in the container. She briefly rests against a wall, when she suddenly hears the alien stirring around the corner. Terrified, she drops the cat container and carefully retraces her steps along the wall, as the alien slowly comes into view around the corner. It shows interest in Jones. The alien slams the container against a wall. Ripley races back to the self-destruct mechanism and tries to override the procedure. However, she is too late, as the mechanism is already starting to activate. She restarts the cooling unit, but Mother announces that it is too late to stop the countdown, and the Nostromo will explode in 5 minutes, much to Ripley's frustrated anger. With sirens blaring and steam releasing from the vents, Ripley runs back to the shuttle loading area, ready to make her best attempt to fight off the alien and get into the lifeboat. However, the alien is nowhere to be seen, only the cat container lying on its side. As fires start to erupt, she picks up Jones and boards the shuttle with only 1 minute to abandon ship. She quickly runs through the launch sequence, and the shuttle lowers to launch position as Mother starts counting down the last 30 seconds of the Nostromo's life. The shuttle's engines ignite and the shuttle races away, leaving the Nostromo in the distance. A series of mighty explosions follow as the Nostromo vanishes in fire, destroying the refinery and ore it had been carrying. Ripley is relieved it destroyed the alien along with it. Ripley gives Jones a hug and prepares one of the biobeds for hypersleep, putting Jones in it. As she makes final preparations for the shuttle, a hand suddenly reaches out to her from a wall. She shrieks, and in horror, she sees the alien lying in an alcove. She flees into a locker with space suits inside, and notices the alien is not following her. It remains lying in the alcove. Ripley gets an idea, and dons one of the spacesuits. She arms herself with a harpoon gun, then straps herself into a chair while singing "You Are My Lucky Star" to calm her nerves. Opening a series of air vents above the alien's head, Ripley tests them one at a time, and then finds one that directly blasts high-pressure steam onto the alien, driving it shrieking from its hiding spot. As she is activating several buttons, she does not notice the monster creeping up to her from the side, until it is standing next to her to its full, menacing 2-meter height, ready to attack with its inner jaw. Screaming, she opens the shuttle's airlock door. Everything not secured, including the alien, blasts towards the door. However, the alien grabs the edges of the doorway to prevent itself from being sucked outside. Ripley quickly fires her harpoon before the creature is able to haul itself in. It pierces the screaming alien. Ripley sees the opportunity and fires the engines, incinerating the alien, and sending it drifting into space. Before she and Jones enter hypersleep for the journey home, Ripley records a final log entry, stating that Kane, Lambert, Parker, Brett, Ash and Captain Dallas are dead. Cargo and ship are destroyed. She expects to reach the frontier in 6 weeks, and to be picked up by the network. She signs off as Ripley, last survivor of the Nostromo, and gets into hypersleep. Thanks for watching Horror Movie Recap. Subscribe for more videos like this, give us a like to help out, and don't forget to turn on notifications.